Now, kids, I'm going to use some material outside the main book we are using by Gail Herman called What's Climate Change, because we need to add a bit of exciting material about how Earth evolved in terms of its geology, but also weather and climate, and whether life was associated with the evolution of weather and climate as well, and how the movement of the continents helped life move around, and so on and so forth. We already said Earth evolved around 4.6 billion years ago along with the solar system, and there was a primordial soup in the beginning, meteorites crashing and so on, and then continents began to form, and they were all clumped together and they broke apart. They're floating around and still moving, and we said along the way methane was the dominant greenhouse gas, and methane burns up easily, which means there was no oxygen to burn it up in the beginning, but then oxygen began to rise in the ocean. How do we know that? Because oxygen also rusts iron. If there's a pile of rust suddenly appearing, then you think, oh, oxygen must have increased, and then oxygen came out of the ocean into the atmosphere at some point. Small jellyfish-like things evolved, and they are round, and you then have insects which are not round, they're called bilateral symmetry, so they have symmetric things on both sides, wings and whiskers and eyes and so on. They have up and down, whereas jellyfish are just round. They have top and bottom and so on. Plants evolved and they took down the carbon dioxide and caused freezing of the earth that we called snowball earth last time. Dinosaurs came and disappeared because of the meteorite crash, as you heard already. And at the last second in this big clock from the beginning to now, we appeared in the last few 100,000 years or so. We have had ancestors, Neanderthals you heard of, they disappeared. They bred with us. We have some Neanderthal genes in us and so on. So life, continents, weather and climate, they have all evolved together and they have all depended on each other. Trees taking down CO2 and causing snowball earth is a clear example of how vegetation and life affects climate. And we are now, of course, affecting climate by taking out fossil fuels and burning them and causing greenhouse gas increases and global warming. We'll continue and look at a few more details, but you can see how exciting it is. And then the question is, of course, what are we going to do about all these greenhouse gases we are producing? When are we going to stop? And so on. Okay, we'll continue. See ya.